My name's Lucas Reyes, and up until that humid May evening in 2023, I thought I'd mapped out every injustice life could throw at a queer kid from rural Ohio. Born to Mexican immigrant parents who scrubbed floors in Cleveland mansions while dreaming of my Ivy League acceptance letter, I'd clawed my way through Elmwood High on scholarships and sheer spite. Gay in a town where faggot was still playground currency. I'd learned early to armor up with words, not fists. Law debates were my coliseum, where I'd eviscerate bigots with precedence and passion, turning their slurs into footnotes. That night, I just clinched the Ohio State Scholastics Trophy, my closing argument on marriage equality leaving the judges, and a room full of stunned conservatives, speechless. The crowd's applause still rang in my ears as I stepped into the lot, rainbow pin glinting on my lapel, certificate in hand. But Colt Harlan had other plans. He was Elmwood PD's golden boy, a towering slab of Midwestern muscle with a buzz cut that screamed military dropout and eyes like chipped flint. I'd seen him cruising Main Street, ticket book in hand, always lingering a beat too long near the Pride float during last summer's festival. Whispers said he was ex-Marine, fresh off a dishonorable for conduct unbecoming, though no one dared specify. To the town, he was law and order incarnate. To me, just another badge hiding hate. He must have clocked me from across the field, the only out kid in a sea of Letterman jackets, because by the time I reached my beat-up Civic, his cruiser was blocking me in, lights silent but siren ready. "Step away from the vehicle, son," he'd barked, hand on his holster like I was packing heat instead of a debate script. I froze, heart jackhammering, but pride kept my chin up. "Officer, I was just leaving the debate finals. Is there a problem?" My voice stayed steady, trained from 100 mock trials, but inside, panic clawed. He sauntered closer, boots splashing puddles, his gaze raking me like I was evidence in a crime scene. "Problem? Yeah, you're the goddamn problem. Loitering with intent to provoke. Provoke." The word hung there, laced with venom, as his eyes flicked to my pin. I laughed, stupid, defiant, and that's when it escalated. "Provoke? Sir, that's not a crime. But false arrest might be." His face twisted, a vein bulging at his temple, and before I could blink, he was on me, arm yanking mine behind my back, cuffs snapping shut. The pain shot fire up my shoulder, but worse was the humiliation. Kids spilling out from the gym, phones up, capturing the town's token queer getting dragged like a suspect in some bad cop show. "You have the right to remain silent," he growled. But I wasn't silent. "This is unlawful detention. I'm a minor, wait. No, 18 as of last week. And you've got no probable cause." He shoved me into the back seat, the partition slamming like a guillotine, and as the cruiser peeled out, I caught my reflection in the window. Wild black curls plastered with sweat, brown eyes blazing, that stupid ribbon dangling like a noose. The ride to the station was a blur of neon-streaked streets and Colt's radio crackling with dispatch chatter. Elmwood wasn't big. Strip malls, cornfields bleeding into suburbia, but it felt vast in that cage. Every bump a reminder of how thin the line was between freedom and fallout. My parents were at work, oblivious. My best friend Mia, probably still celebrating with the debate team, scrolling TikTok instead of checking texts. I fired off a frantic one to her. "Arrested by Harlan. Debate win irrelevant. Help." But signal died in the industrial sprawl, leaving me alone with the man who'd just upended my triumph. Elmwood PD station was a squat brick bunker on the edge of town, fluorescent buzz and coffee stink assaulting me as Colt hauled me inside. The desk sergeant, a Dowie vet named O'Malley, glanced up from his crossword, eyebrow quirking. "Harlan? What's the charge?" Colt's grip tightened on my arm. "Disorderly conduct. Public indecency." "Indecency? For existing?" I twisted, voice pitching high. "Bullshit." I was walking to my car after winning the state law debate. "Check the timestamps. It's all on video." O'Malley chuckled, low and dismissive, but Colt's jaw clenched, his free hand flexing like he itched to swing. They marched me to booking, fingerprints cold and clinical, mugshot flash blinding. I stared down the camera, refusing to bow, whispering under my breath, Miranda versus Arizona, 384 U.S. 436. Right to counsel. It was my mantra, the law my shield. But as they tossed me into holding, a gray cell reeking of bleach and despair, doubt crept in. What if the videos got buried? What if my win meant nothing against a cop's word? Hours ticked by, the clock on the wall mocking me at 11:47 p.m. Footsteps echoed, and there was Colt again, leaning against the bars, arms crossed over his broad chest, badge glinting like a taunt. "You got a mouth on you, Reyes," he said, voice softer now, almost curious. I sat up on the bench, rubbing my wrists. "And you've got a badge that doesn't make you God. Let me out, officer. Or call my parents." He studied me, flint eyes narrowing, and for a split second, something flickered. Regret? Pity? Nah, couldn't be. Town like this don't take kindly to your kind stirring trouble. That pin? It's a target. My kind. The words landed like punches, but I fired back. My kind just argued the Obergefell decision better than any straight kid in Ohio. You should try listening sometime. He snorted, turning away, but not before I saw his knuckles whiten on the bars. Mia burst in around 1 a.m., all fire and fury, lawyer dad in tow. Turns out my text hit pay dirt. Videos were already viral on the local Facebook group. Hashtags like Justice for Lucas trending in Cleveland feeds. Mr. Patel, Mia's dad, was a civil rights attorney who'd cut his teeth on Stonewall cases, and he tore into O'Malley like a brief on steroids. False arrest, excessive force. I'll have your department in federal court by dawn. Colt hovered in the corner, arms folded, but his face was a mask cracking at the edges. They uncuffed me at 2:15, charges pending review. And as I stepped into the muggy night, certificate crumpled but intact, I swore I'd make him pay. Not with hate, but with the truth I'd just won. But that was just the spark. The real fire? It started the next morning, when Colt showed up at my door with coffee and an apology that tasted like ash. Or maybe it was the way his eyes lingered, not in judgment, but in a hunger he didn't know he had. Turns out, the homophobe had secrets deeper than his badge, and I was about to become the key that unlocked them all. Little did I know, as I slammed the door in his face that humid dawn, that Officer Colt Harlan wasn't just arresting me. He was arresting a part of himself he'd buried under years of denial. And in the weeks that followed, our worlds would collide in ways that would shatter us both, forging something raw, reckless, and achingly human from the wreckage of prejudice. The fallout from that night hit like a Midwest twister, fast, furious, and leaving nothing untouched. By Monday, Elmwood High was a powder keg. The principal called an emergency assembly, the videos looping on every phone. Me, defiant under the lights, Colt's meaty hand on my shoulder. Pride in our community, Mr. Hargrove droned from the stage, rainbow flag pinned awkwardly to his tweed jacket, but the whispers undercut him. Freak got what he deserved. Harlan's a hero. My locker was keyed with slurs, my truck tires slashed in the lot. Mia and the debate team formed a human shield around me in the halls, but isolation gnawed. Even my win felt tainted. The trophy on my dresser mocked me, a hollow brass echo of what should have been glory. Mom and Dad were wrecked. Dad, with his calloused hands from factory shifts, paced the kitchen muttering about gringo cops, while Mom crossed herself over rosaries, begging me to tone it down, Mijo, for the family. I loved them fierce, but their fear was a cage I couldn't fit in anymore. This is who I am, I told them that night over Era's con pollo, voice cracking. Hiding won't make the world less cruel. Dad's eyes welled, rare as rain in July, and he pulled me into a hug that smelled of motor oil and unspoken dreams. Then fight smart, Lucas. Use that brain God gave you. School dragged, but the real storm brewed online. Elmwood arrest exploded, drawing national eyes, SLU tweets, CNN blurbs, even a snarky TikTok from some queer comedian calling Colt Badge Bunny Hunter. Reporters camped our block, but I dodged them, holing up in the library with case law and caffeine. That's where Mia dropped the bomb. Harlan's got history. Dad Doug, ex-Marine, bounced for fraternization with a squad mate. buried deep, but whispers say it was more than brothers. My stomach flipped. Fraternization? As in, no, couldn't be. The guy who'd cuffed me like a criminal, I spitting fire at my rainbow pin? But the seed planted, twisting with unwanted curiosity. Then, Tuesday afternoon, he showed. I was in the park across from school, debating strategy with Mia under the old oak, when his cruiser rolled up slow, like a predator circling. He stepped out in civvies, faded Levi's hugging thighs that spoke of deadlifts and denial, a flannel shirt straining buttons, Stetson tipped low. No badge, but the authority clung like cologne. Mia tensed, ready to dial her dad, but I waved her off. 5 minutes? I muttered, heart thudding traitorously. He approached cautious, hands in pockets, coffee tray extended like a white flag. Reyes, got a minute. His voice was rougher off-duty, laced with that Appalachian drawl Elmwood chewed up and spat out. I eyed the cups. Black for me, how'd he know? And snatched mine, sipping to buy time. Make it quick, Harlan. My lawyer's on speed dial. He winced, actual wince, and leaned against the bench. Close enough I caught his scent. Pine soap and something metallic, like gun oil. Look about Friday. I overstepped. Heat of the moment. Department's dropping charges. Internal review says no probable cause. I barked a laugh bitter as burnt toast. Gee, thanks. Your moment went viral. Cost me sleep, friends, peace. His jaw ticked, eyes dropping to the grass, scuffed boots shifting. I ain't proud. Grew up in a holler where things like you were sin. Army beat it in deeper. But that don't excuse things like me. I cut in, heat rising. I'm a person, Colt. Not a sin or a threat. Just a kid who loves who he loves. He met my gaze then, unflinching, and damn if those flint eyes didn't soften. Just a fracture. Lucas. Yeah, I know your name now. And yeah, you're right. I read the debate transcript online. You shredded M on Loving versus Virginia. Smart as hell. Flattery? From him? Mia, eavesdropping from her picnic blanket, shot me wide eyes. What the fuck? But I pressed. Why tell me? Guilt trip over. He exhaled slow, rubbing his neck, bicep flexing under flannel. Partly, but mostly, I need to understand how you stand so tall after all that hate. It was the first crack in his armor, raw and unintended, and it hooked me despite myself. We talked, halting at first, me grilling him on procedure flaws, him deflecting with small-town cop lore. He confessed the arrest stemmed from a dispatch call about suspicious loitering near the gym. Anonymous tip that smelled like setup. By the time Mia dragged me away, coffee cold, something shifted. Not trust, hell no, but a thread fragile as spider silk. That thread pulled taut over the next weeks. Charges vanished, but scrutiny didn't. The department sidelined Colt to desk duty, brass sweating PR fallout, while I prepped for summer trials, mock court for nationals, ACLU internship shadowing Mr. Patel. But Colt kept orbiting. A nod in the grocery aisle, a burner phone text with case sites he'd stumbled on. Terry versus Ohio, stop and frisk limits. Thought you'd like. I replied snarky but saved them, building a file not just for lawsuits but for what? The man who'd cuffed me was thawing, revealing a kid from Kentucky coal country. Dad a drunk preacher who preached fire and brimstone Sundays, hid flasks Mondays. Army had been escape, until a bunkmate's midnight confession turned brotherhood to betrayal. Dishonorable discharge, no details, but the scar ran deep. Our first real collision came at the county fair, end of June, fireworks booming like artillery over fried dough and Ferris wheels. I'd gone with Mia, rainbow face paint smudged, daring the world. Colt was there off-duty, volunteering at the police booth, kids clamoring for badge stickers. Our eyes locked across the midway, and he broke first, weaving through cotton candy clouds. Fancy seeing you here, champ. The nickname stuck from the transcript, and I hated how it warmed me. We wandered, awkward, electric, sharing funnel cake, him laughing genuine at my jabs about cop donuts. Under the lights, his guard slipped. Ever feel like you're fighting a war you can't win? He murmured. gaze on the sky. I nodded, the weight of it shared. Every day. But we fight anyway. That night, as fireworks painted him gold, he leaned in, close, too close, and whispered, "You're braver than me, Lucas." My pulse thundered, the air thick with unspoken. No kiss, no touch, just the precipice. But betrayal loomed, a shadow in his eyes, hinting at storms we couldn't outrun. Little did I know, Colt's past wasn't buried. It was clawing free, ready to drag us under. July blurred into a haze of heat and hidden glances, Elmwood's humidity mirroring the tension coiling between us. Our chance meetings multiplied, coffee runs sinking like clockwork, late-night texts dissecting Supreme Court rulings over bad diner pie. Colt opened up in fragments. The preacher dad's sermons branding him vessel of the devil for a stolen glance at the quarterback in high school gym. The Marine barracks where loneliness forged a bond with Private Ellis, a lanky Texan with a drawl like honey and hands that trembled in the dark. We called it war buddies. Colt confessed one sticky evening on my porch swing, fireflies winking like conspirators. But it was more. When command found out, they made examples. Me mostly. Said I corrupted him. His voice cracked, fist clenching the chain link, and I saw it then. The rage not at me, but at the mirror. I shared two vulnerabilities I'd armored against the world. The taunts in middle school, lockers slammed on fingers. The first boy, a fumbling kiss behind the bleachers that ended in a black eye from his straight friends. Love's a battlefield, I said, echoing his war metaphor, and he nodded, our knees brushing accidental electric. It was romance in the margins, stolen hours at the quarry's edge, skipping stones across water that reflected stars and secrets. He'd tease my fancy lawyer talk. I'd mock his John Wayne swagger, but underneath, it built. A quiet fierceness, his hand lingering on my shoulder during a thunderstorm confession. My head on his chest listening to a heart that beat double time for the first time in years. Yet conflict simmered. Town eyes sharpened. Gossip mills grinding about, that cop cozying the queer kid. O'Malley pulled Colt aside, warnings veiled as advice. Harlan, you're walking a wire. Department's watching. And me? The internship with Mr. Patel unearthed dirt. Colt's discharge papers, redacted but damning, whispers of an assault charge against Ellis's family for interference. Betrayal's first whisper came mid-July, a leaked email from PD internals. Colt had been the tipster on my loitering, anonymous to shield his badge but aimed at quelling the pride buzz. Mia found it, slamming printouts on my kitchen table. He's playing you, Lucas, using your understanding to bury his screw-up. I confronted him at the station lot, dusk bleeding red, certificate from that fateful night clutched like a talisman. Was it you? The call that got me cuffed. His face drained, Stetson shadowing guilt. Lucas, it wasn't. Don't lie, I shouted, voice echoing off cruisers. You fed the beast, then played savior. Why? He stepped close, desperate, hands hovering like he wanted to shake or hold me. Fear. My CO called old Marine buddy on dispatch. Said the town's brass wanted the ferry float shut down. Panicked. Thought tipping it off would protect you. Keep it quiet. Protect? The word curdled. You arrested me, Colt. Paraded my pain for your job. He deflated, shoulders slumping under the weight of it all. I know. God, I know. But after, seeing you fight, it cracked me open. Made me remember Ellis. How I ran then, too. Tears tracked his stubble and mine burned hot. Betrayal stung, but so did the truth in his eyes. A man unlearning hate, one painful step at a time. I walked away, but not forever, just long enough to breathe. Days stretched, radio silence awound, until the quarry called us back. He was there at midnight, shirtless under moonlight, skipping stones with a ferocity that screamed regret. I approached soft. No words at first, just the splash of shared silence. Forgive me? He asked finally, voice raw. I shook my head, but took the stone he offered, our fingers brushing fire. Not yet, but understand? Maybe. We talked till dawn. Ellis's suicide note, smuggled to Colt years later. You were my light, brother. Don't let them dim yours. It humanized him, this broken soldier piecing himself together. Romance reignited, tentative. A hand in mine during a drive-in movie, westerns flickering on the screen as we confessed dreams. Me, arguing before SCOTUS. Him maybe teaching dare without the dogma. But climax brewed in August. A perfect storm of prejudice and past sins. The County Pride March, Elmwood's first. A defiant ribbon in conservative bow. Drew counter-protesters. Megaphones blaring Leviticus. I marched front, megaphone in hand, echoing my debate win. Equality isn't debate. It's destiny. Colt, on crowd control, positioned shadows away. But his eyes locked on mine. A silent vow. Then chaos. A brick through a float window screams. A scuffle spilling into fists. I went down hard, elbow-cracking pavement, blood warm on my temple. Through the blur, I saw him, Colt, charging the fray, badge flashing as he shielded me, tackling the thrower in a blur of navy and fury. Sirens wailed, but worse. The attacker was kin, Colt's cousin, Zeke, a deputy from neighboring precinct, face twisted in zealot rage. Traitor! Zeke spat as cuffs clicked, but Colt's voice broke. Enough, Zeke. This ends now. The arrest video went viral again, but this time Colt was hero. Protecting the queer kid, family be damned. Backstage in the community center, medics patching my gash, he knelt, hands trembling on my knee. I almost lost you, he whispered, forehead to mine, breath mingling. No kiss. Not yet. But the precipice loomed, love's edge sharp and sweet. Yet betrayal's shadow lengthened. Zeke's call from lockup. Tell Harlan his daddy knows. About the faggot Marine. Preachers coming for blood. The past, unearthed, poised to bury us. The reckoning hit like a sermon from hell. Colt's childhood holler resurrecting in a voicemail that shattered our fragile peace. His father, Reverend Harlan, firebrand of the Appalachian Bible Belt, now retired but unrepentant, had caught wind of the fair brawl via Zeke's bail bondsman kin. That boy's filth is your inheritance, Colton, the gravelly drawl intoned, laced with scripture and spite. Repent or be cast out. Like that sodomite soldier you bedded. Colt played it for me in his truck cab, parked at the quarry's lip, engine off, stars indifferent witnesses. His hands shook on the wheel, face ashen under dashboard glow. He knows about Ellis. Always did, maybe. Used it to whip me straight. I reached for him then. First real touch. Palm on his cheek, stubble rough under my thumb. You're not his anymore, Colt. Or the Army's. You're. Mean it? The word hung unspoken, but his eyes pleaded it. What if I ruin you, Lucas? Your fight's clean, law light. I'm just a broken cop with baggage heavier than these hills. Romance crested there, in vulnerability's flood. I pulled him close, our foreheads touching, breaths sinking in the humid dark. We're both broken, but together, we rebuild. His lips found mine tentative, then fierce. A kiss tasting of salt and surrender, years of denial dissolving in that cab. No rush, no heat beyond the heart's ache. Just two souls colliding, human and whole. But Reverend Harlan wasn't bluffing. He rolled into Elmwood a week later, a storm cloud in a polyester suit, pulpit thunder in his veins. Town hall meeting, called under guise of community safety, became his crusade, megaphone amplifying venom. This march? Sodom's gateway. And my boy colluding with the enemy? Shame on the badge that shields sin. Flashbulbs popped, locals nodding fervent, but counterchants rose. Mia leading, debate team flanking, even Mr. Hargrove mumbling support. Colt stood frozen at the fringes, uniform crisp but eyes hollow, until Zeke, out on bail, shoved through, finger jabbing. You outed us all, cousin, for that spick twink. The slur ignited. Colt snapped, fist flying, a crack echoing like Judgment Day. Deputies swarmed, separating kin in a tangle of badges and bloodied knuckles. I pushed through the melee, grabbing Colt's arm. Don't. Not like this. But the damage cascaded. IA probe launched, Colt suspended pending excessive force review. Irony's bitter pill. That night, alone in his sparse apartment, Marine cot, faded Rangers poster, Bible dog-eared on the nightstand. He broke fully. It's over, Lucas. Dad's got pull old boys network from seminary to statehouse. They'll bury me, and you'll be collateral. Climax unfolded in Reverend Harlan's motel room. A seedy chain off I-71. Bible open to Leviticus like a loaded gun. Colt dragged me there at dawn. Resolve stealing his spine. Face it together, he'd insisted, and I couldn't deny him. Not after that kiss, not with love's roots digging deep. The old man loomed in the doorway, gaunt and glaring, cross-necklace glinting accusation. Colton, and the boy, come to gloat. Colt's voice held steady. A soldier's bark honed in sands far from here. No, sir. To end it. Ellis was love, not sin. Lucas is everything. You raised a fighter. Now watch me fight for this. The room thickened, air electric with scripture and sobs. Reverend Harlan railed, thunderclaps of condemnation, tales of Colt's boyhood plagues. But cracks showed. A widow's loneliness, a preacher's hypocrisy unearthed in Colt's quiet barbs. You drank away, Mom, hid your own demons. Don't make me your ghost. I stood silent sentinel, hand in Colt's, my presence the unspoken argument. Proof that love defied doctrine. The old man deflated, collapsing into a chair, Bible thumping shut. I feared for you, son. The world's crueler than God's wrath. Not absolution, but a fracture, humanity peeking through zeal. Word spread, the meeting a catalyst. I cleared Colt. Bodycam vindicated the punch as defense. While Reverend Harlan slunk home, whispers of his own indiscretions. A long-buried affair with the choir director, hounding his tail. Elmwood shifted, tectonic. Pride banners stayed up. The department mandated bias training. Colt volunteering first instructor. And my SCOTUS dreams? Mr. Patel pulled strings for a clerkship, citing my real-world advocacy. But the true victory was quieter. Colt and me, navigating the aftermath. Walks by the quarry, hands laced unashamed. Lazy Sundays debating ethics over Mom's tamales. Dad clapping Colt's back like a son. Betrayal's scar lingered. Trust a daily rebuild. But it humanized us, turning wounds to wisdom. One October evening, leaves aflame in Ohio gold. We stood at the debate field's edge, my old certificate framed in his truck dash. You won more than a trophy that night, he murmured. Arm around my waist, Stetson tilted playful. I leaned in, kissing him soft under harvest moon. We both did. Law's just words. Love's the verdict. In a town that once cuffed difference, we'd uncuffed our hearts. Not perfect, not painless, but profoundly ours. A testament that even in America's frayed seams, redemption waits for those brave enough to claim it. And as winter whispered in, promising trials anew, I knew we'd face them side by side, unbreakable.